Monday on Daily Delivery. Michael Rand here, Patrick Reusse with me as usual. Plenty of stuff this time of year. Patrick, how are you?
I am pretty good. On Saturday, I drove to Stevens Point, Wisconsin, to see Janelle McCarville's high school basketball team play. They had a tug of war, but they won the regional, and then I drove back. So I've been trying to recover for a couple of, that's 3.5 hours each way. So
wow,
it was okay. But Janelle, it was worth it to see that she's still a character, and I got to see her. She had a shoot around, and then she had a pregame speech, and colorful. It's a colorful pregame speech she makes for these high school girls. So I'm going to write something for next Sunday on our upcoming Sunday on Janelle. I love Janelle.
She's one of my all-time favorites too. She's great.
She is living on the farm with her dad and coaching basketball for $5,000 a year, and that's what she's doing. So she's a beauty.
Wow, that's great. I look forward to reading that because she was. I covered her senior season at the U. That was a good team. They made people kind of forget they made the Sweet 16 the year after Whalen graduated.
Yeah, they were good. I mean, the program turned around when she got here, basically, because Cheryl got fired the year before, at the end of that season, right? And then Oldfield 1 year, and they made the Final Four. Borton's second year, right? Didn't they?
Final Four was, I think that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So that was one of the most fun teams to ever be around.
Oh, yes.
They were all big personalities, and McCarville and Whalen were the big stars, but the rest of them you had the quiet kids and the loud kids and the Shone Rocks and just a collection that was a lot of fun. And that was when, if you were a sports writer and you wanted to talk to somebody, you just walked over and we didn't have two people sitting up with the coach at the podium in front. You were out BSing with them. That's when sport writing was fun, as they say. And,
yes, it
and
was.
Now it's torture. But anyway, that's
well. Speaking of that, let's talk Timberwolves, because I think they do that to their fans sometimes with the way they play. They won last night, though, Patrick. Just when you think, oh man, they lost to Utah the other night. Ant got suspended on the after the front end of that back-to-back against the Lakers, and now he's got to watch himself the rest of the way, because if every two technicals he gets the rest of the way now, he gets a 1-game suspension. So you're thinking, okay, what are they going to do? Though then they go blast Phoenix by 18. Phoenix seems disinterested, by the way. They seem like they just don't care.
Owned by an Ishbia. We want the Ishbias.
That's
we still want the Ishbias after seeing that last night.
I hope.
They got a terrible team and they're in salary cap jail. Is that what we want? Is that what we're looking for?
If it was an Ishbia that authorized the mortgaging of the future for Bradley Beal, we don't want. If that was the GM's doing, and the owner merely wrote the check, then maybe we can give him a pass. But that was not the move to make, as it turns out.
No, but I got up early this morning. I've been kicking around for an hour, trying to get my hands or my mind around. Have we ever had a more mercurial, and Randy Moss included, have we ever had a more mercurial superstar than this guy? Because you never know if you're going to get the odd, stupid down the stretch Ant, or if you're going to get the guy last night who goes and gets 44. It's he is the NBA is full of odd characters, and he's top 5, I think, as far as an odd character is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, Moss is still more, mercurial, I think, by definition.
But I would think he was, but there would be days games where he didn't show up and didn't want his routes. Right. But I think his bad games, the percentage of his bad games were fewer than Ant's. Yeah. I think so. Maybe that would be me. But Moss is the one guy who comes to mind as the competitor for him, right? So
you're right though. Sometimes Ant comes out and you're like, what version of it? Why is he playing like this? And a lot of times it's against the lesser teams, and then it's then they're scrambling to to catch up, and usually they're okay still because they've got enough talent they can win those games. But he's motivated to play Phoenix because he loves Kevin Durant, and it was a ESPN game, so he scores 44 and they win by 18. I mean, that's the next phase of Ant's maturity is smoothing out the performance that he gives from night to night.
Yeah, and being smarter down the stretch because they're gonna keep letting him take all the shots in the clutch. So he's got to take better ones, or you got to make a pass once in a while when he doesn't have a good shot. He's drives you nuts down the stretch of close games a lot of times, but then he goes out and gets 44 and just
Right.
get you out of what had the potential to be another stupor here. So. I was looking around a league a couple of days ago. We got some odd, bad teams beating good teams, so it's been a strange year in the league. But I can't remember a more because 2 years ago, I don't think we thought the Wolves were this good, right? And Cat was hurt, and
Yeah.
so the bad losses 2 years ago didn't offend you as much as the bad losses have offended
Yeah.
you this year. I don't think.
Right. I think that's true. I think 2 years ago you didn't see really until like the very, very end of the season when it was like Cat came back and it looked like a tiny bit better. Until then it was like, this is just a bad team. This is not a team this is more of a bad team than it is a disappointing team, or a mediocre team than it is a disappointing team. This team feels a little bit more like, why aren't you winning more? Especially now that they got DiVincenzo back. They got Randall played last night for the first time. Like, they're starting to get healthy now. Gobert still didn't play last night, but I don't think that's going to be a forever thing. Like, they're pretty close to full strength again. So no excuses in the month of March, when, by the way, we keep saying this, and they didn't take advantage against Utah, but their schedule is very favorable for the next month. They got to take advantage of it. If they don't, then it's all on them.
You know why the Utah loss was really disappointed? Because Utah wants to lose. That's
yes.
Yes.
Well, and
Utah is devoted to losing here.
Yes.
Get the highest draft choice they can.
Yes.
And you go out and kick the game away, and so yeah, it's been a up and down year, to say the least. They're home now on Tuesday night, and let's see Ant play with his head down his shoulders a little bit here, and then also I'm very upset though. My guy Terrence Shannon Jr. I was getting ready to write how I had Terrence Shannon Jr. or third or however many in there he's got. Is he the second or the third?
He's junior. He's junior. Yeah, Terrence Shannon Jr.
I was getting Terrence Shannon fever, and then last night, 7 minutes, no points, doesn't play.
Yes.
And the Dillingham fans couldn't have been too happy. He played 2 minutes, right?
No, he just got the garbage time with the rest of the. I'm not too mad about that. He's not there yet. Clark and Shannon are the ones that need to be playing, and Clark played like 11 minutes last night, so at least they're not like back to just being on the bench. But it seems like the cure for Terrence Shannon Jr. fever is Dante DiVincenzo returning. Yes, I guess right. That's the cure, because he was great last night. He had
he made
8 threes,
and that was good. And with Connolly being showing every minute of his age on the court, you're going to see DiVincenzo's going to handle the ball probably more than we want him to. But
I think so.
The option is. You got a 6'6" guy who can play defense, and that's going to be. And Ant's going to handle the ball more, I suppose, doing that.
Yeah.
But anyway, they got as Louis Nanny said in 1982 or 83, we got too much talent. That's our problem here. We got too much talent. But it would be. There's no reason not to get on a run here the last month of the season.
I agree.
And,
no, they should get on the run.
Try to get 5th or 6th or someplace in there.
Yeah.
By the way, let me point out that guess who's hurt for the Golden State Warriors and didn't play? Jimmy Butler. That's
Jimmy. Really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, Jimmy got hurt. He didn't play the other night. When I don't think he either went 0 for 5 and then didn't play the next game. the night Steph got 56.
Oh yeah.
He must have decided they don't let me shoot anymore. I'm going to take the game off. I don't miss that lout, I'll tell you that. So.
No, that was not I mean, for as much as that should have been a fun year when you make the playoffs for the first time in like 14 years, it wasn't fun when he was here. And then the next year, of course, when he blew it all up.
Next year when he this was the first. The next year we found out that yes, he isn't erratic. He's nuts. That's what we found out. So we found that out the next year. The first year he said, "Oh, he's erratic. He'll miss 20 games, and he's a veteran, but he's a warrior. But he's probably still a warrior, but he's an idiot." So
yeah, took years off Chris Hines' life and my life. I was the team leader for that trade debacle. Yeah. And Chris was a pretty new beat writer. That was not fun.
He's had a hell of a year, by the way, Chris Hines.
Yes.
About this team and a lot of bad deadlines now. That's the bad thing about being good is they give you those 8:45 starts periodically on television. You become the greatest thing that ever, we've talked about this before, the greatest thing that happened to this franchise is when Seattle and Vegas get teams, we get to go to the East.
Go to the East.
We want to be in the East. Come on.
Yes. Replace those 8:45s with 6:10, and that'll be a lot better.
Yes, that's true.
I saw him on social media last night. He was trying to catch a red eye home last night, a 1 a.m. flight. So I wonder how that worked out for him with the ESPN game. But
that's one of my favorite stories about catching the red eye is my friend Wicker was covering the Warriors, 76ers, excuse me, and they were out in Portland, and it was like December 23rd, and if they didn't catch the red eye, they weren't going to get home until about December 27th. And
oh, really? Okay.
Earl Strom was referee, and they called him over with 5 minutes to go and said, "Earl, we got to get this thing over." And he says, "Don't worry, fellas, I'm on the same plane." Who's ever ahead with 2 minutes to go ain't losing. That's what he said.
That's great.
That's when the league had like 14 officials, and they only had 2 working a game, And
everybody was flying commercial, and that's great. Right. That's fantastic.
Yeah, yes.
Oh man, those are the sports have changed a little bit. Let's just say that. The Wolves,
chumminess of the old NBA with the reporters and the reporters calling the officials by the first name and BSing with them. I don't think that exists anymore. So.
We had a couple 1-0 scores over the weekend, Patrick. The Wild and the Loons, both 1-0 victors. How do you enjoy the 1-0? The 1-0.
Well, the Wild have to take anything they can get now, and Gus the Bus, who'd been giving up 3 a game minimum there for a while, goes out and gives them a shutout last night against. Wasn't it only 2 years ago that Boston was like the greatest team in NHL history, and then got beat in the playoffs, and now they can't score. Now they're not going to make the playoffs, and they're having a really hard time scoring. So they win that game 1-0, and I guess they got to take it with Kaprizov still not playing, and Eck and Eriksson Eck. No matter what they're telling you. And my guy Judd Zulgad, who watches this closely, he got injured in the Four Nations Cup. The idea that he got mentioned in practice, he got hurt in practice, is BS that Guerin is spreading, because Guerin was big on the Four Nations Cup and chose the U.S. team. But Eck is one of the victims of that nonsense.
Guerin, by the way, seems a little frustrated by it. Did you see his quote the other day getting asked about Eck and Kaprizov's return? Said, you guys have been asking me nonstop about this. I just don't know. There's no exact science. I can't tell you, because what I tell you today might be different tomorrow. Things change constantly. I'm not going to say, oh, he's going to be back 17 days from now. And when he's not back 17 days from now, you guys are going to be like, what happened? So I don't know. I just don't know. He's getting tired of getting asked about it.
Yeah, well,
he's a beauty.
What Kaprizov may not. Did he have groin surgery? Are we thinking?
Do you have groin replacement? I don't know.
Yeah, right. I don't know. It's a long spell of not playing.
Well,
If it was an NBA guy, we'd be questioning his toughness. So,
well, and they're getting to a point now with both these guys where, okay, so the trade deadline's only a few days away. They just got Nyquist. They got the second round. Just gave up the second rounder for Nyquist. Now they can, but if they think they can still make the playoffs without one or both those guys playing, they could run some shenanigans where they bring in a guy at the trade deadline, keep these guys out until the playoffs, and then pop them back in because the salary cap goes away basically in the playoffs. So you got all these teams manipulating the cap in the past. Will the Wild be one of those teams?
That is weird, but I love the NHL though. Actually, the trade deadline's a little earlier than it used to be. It used to be you could trade for a guy about 4 days before the season ended and change your team, and it's a little earlier, but it's still the latest in all of sports. And they're going for it. There's no question. He gave up the second, and they'd already given up the first, right? So the
second is for 2026.
Oh, so. Okay. All right. Okay, they do, but they've given up the first for this year, right?
Yes, that was traded. Which trade was that? I can't remember which trade that was, but that was they don't have their first round pick this year. That's correct.
Yes. Okay. I didn't realize this was the second. So anyway, Nashville not going to make the playoffs? I guess not.
I don't know. They're not that good. Yeah. I mean, the Wild's in pretty safe shape because there's really only 8 good teams in the West, so they should be able to make the playoffs at the very least, even though they're
going to make the playoffs.
Stumbling around a little bit. They can win enough of those 1-0, 3-2 games with the way they play right now. But their style is not as aesthetically pleasing as we might like. As same with the Loons. You seem to have some complaint.
I got a serious complaint with the Looney Tunes.
Okay.
I was out there last game I went to was the opener last year.
Okay.
Which wasn't on a day when it was 15 degrees, by the way, like it was this year. Saturday, the home opener, everybody's over there freezing to death, right? Wasn't it Saturday? 15 degrees, home opener, right? So I was over there, and it was later, and it was a nice day, but we were pressing the game. Everybody. That was with the other coach, not with Ramsey, because he was still over in England, right?
Oh, right,
we were pressing. Everybody was happy. We had three guys on the forward press the whole time. This was going to be our new style with our new boss, Khalid, or what's his, El Khalid, or whatever his name is. And that was going to be our new style. And now we're proudly saying we're all about defense. I read the story today. We're all about defense. So far, a 1-0 win and a 1-0 loss. What happened? What happened to that pressing, aggressive, no more Adrian Heath, slow, lousy approach that my guy Bruce McGuire couldn't stand? And last year he was so excited early in the year because they were going to try to score goals. And now, if we can get one, we're just happy as clowns. It's unbelievable.
I don't know. Maybe they decided this was the better way to win. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. They had to trade Renault, get rid of Renault, so midway through last year too. So when you lose the engine of what's driving your offense. But I don't know. That's a good question. I don't study it as closely as you do, obviously. No, I'm just kidding. Or as closely as John Marthaler does. But it does appear that they have shifted a little bit. And that's their identity this year is defense. That is very much their identity. And when your identity is defense, you're not going to try to win 3-2. You're going to try to win.
How many foot amputations did we have after the freezing game the other day? Not like
this one wasn't as
Honduras. We chopped the guy's foot off. But
nobody had their foot chopped off. Somebody got
some guy was in the hospital with frostbite up to his knee or something. But last night it was 15. I was outside. The wind was howling. That couldn't have been any fun.
The Saturday game was chilly. Cold. Okay, cold. It was, yes. And it was too bad for them too, because it was like in a run of like 10 days where it's been pretty nice. Like you could have kind of theoretically gotten away with it, but the season, like, okay, but think about this: like they keep threatening to go to like the same schedule as the global. Like, can you imagine trying to have your home schedule in December, January, February?
They can't do that. They put the franchise out of business, for goodness sake.
Yes, you can't do that, or put a roof on that thing and crank up the heat. I don't know what you'd do if they decided to do that.
Poor Bill McGuire's already on a stick for $200 million for that place. I don't think he wants to put a roof on it. So
I don't think so. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just very disappointed because I was actually, being the soccer savant that I am, I was at that game last year and saying, "Hey, this is different. They're pushing,
Right.
they're trying."
Right.
So now we don't try to score anymore. I don't get it.
We don't try.
I don't.
Anymore.
You know what we got too much of still, though, and I watched.
What's that?
Getting out there in the 50-yard line and just kicking the ball back and forth. What are we doing? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. What are we trying to accomplish there? Okay, you stand over there, I'll stand over here. I'll kick it over to you, you kick it back. You kind of fake like you're going to do something, then kick it back to me. Goes on and on and on. The same nonsense. Let's go. Come on, let's get done.
Trying to get the defense out of shape, Patrick. That's what we're doing. Trying to get them to.
Why would they? Why don't they just sit there with their arms crossed? Because the guys aren't doing anything anyway. They should just get a little. They should just get a little one of those chairs you watch your kids play sports in, and just sit on it out there while they're kicking the ball back and forth. I don't know. I'm never going to be converted. I thought I was going to be converted for one game last year. Now it's the same.
No, you're back.
The same nonsense. So
yeah,
I don't know. There's nothing I can do about it, I guess.
No, it's not your fight.
No, but hey, the Aurora is starting pretty soon. The best franchise in town. 12-game schedule. You know what? You know who I don't like? One of our big rivals here in town, the Sioux Falls Football Club. We played them 3 of our 12 games, so I don't have any love lost for the Sioux Falls franchise, whatever the franchise is down there.
No.
Open a smart checking account at Royal Credit Union to get no monthly fees, no minimum balance, and a $250 bonus. See details at rcu.org/checking bonus. No minimum balance required to obtain bonus. Offer ends 5/31/25. Insured by NCUA.
I'm in an Ollie mood this morning.
You are. It's good. Gophers basketball. We should talk about that because the men. I can't figure them out. Like they lose to all the terrible teams. They go on the road. Now they've had like a bunch of good road wins. They cough up an 18-point lead against Nebraska, but this Brennan Rigsby, who I only hear about him when he's like making game-winning shots. I don't know why he doesn't play more, but he goes for like 20. He makes the 3 to win the game at the end. So they win. Women's team loses. They are playing Washington in the Big Ten tournament, which is basically you got to win that game or you're not going to the NCAA tournament at this point for them. So
they aren't going to the NCAA.
Well, their net is still good.
They cannot take that god-awful team to the, when they're they ended up 8-10 on the conference, right?
8-10. But it's a great conference.
How can they with the worst non-conference schedule in the history of man? 342 in strength of schedule out of 362. What's wrong with people?
Last I looked in the bracketology, they were still like one of the last four in, so they got a chance. They've got a chance, but they absolutely have to win this game because this is anyway.
Well, I don't know. I threw it out there yesterday. You think Dawn might get fired along with Ben?
She's not going to get. She's not going to get fired. What they got to do is.
I don't think she is.
No.
I don't think she is. No.
They got to keep Mara Braun healthy. That's their problem.
Yeah, that's true. She's a good player, and she got some recruits coming in, I guess, that are going to be okay. So. That's okay, but they've been a big disappointment here down the stretch. Well, they lost 6 out of 7, something like that.
Something like that. And the thing this year too is what they were saying at the beginning of the year was that what happened last year shouldn't happen again because they're a deeper team. They had a lot of more depth this year. They brought in some transfers and people from the portal, and they had recruits that were a year older, but they just didn't have it down the stretch. They just haven't won the games they needed to win, and so there you have it. And then the men's team, every time you get optimistic about them, they lose. Every time you forget about them, they win. And
Wisconsin,
they're 7 and 11 now. Yeah,
Wisconsin's here.
Yes,
and Wisconsin's. I thought they were like maybe the best team in the league, and now they've taken a couple of losses lately. So I don't know. Ghosts might as you say, the 3 home games, they lost to the 3 worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
And you said, yeah, they can't play at home, but I got a hunch they'll show up on, is it Wednesday? Is it
Wednesday? Yeah, pretty sure.
And I got a hunch they'll show up and give them a pretty good game. But this Rigsby, the reason you don't hear about him as other games is he scores 0. And then all of a sudden he goes 0 for 5 and scores
But he never
0.
plays. He never plays, it doesn't seem like. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. It's they are. You still watch them and say, you still got to keep looking at the program saying, who's that? Who's that guy? Because they changed the whole team.
Yeah. So. And guess what? It's going to be the same thing next year, too. Because these guys are all here for 1 year.
The kid from Cherry's the only guy coming back, basically. Awesome. So.
Yeah, unless they can find another year for Parker Fox. But
what's your betting on Coach Johnson now? 50-50 maybe?
I don't know. Like, here's the thing. Like, and I think Marcus wrote about this last week, and we've talked about this. Just how much of it is him and how much of it is that he came in at a time where they didn't have any money and everybody else did, and he can't keep any players. Now next year when you got the revenue sharing, that's going to raise everybody's floor, but maybe with more money pumped in, it equalizes things a little bit to where you can bring in players or keep players. Like, does he deserve a year in the new system where he might have more resources? That's the question.
I would say yes, but I'm not betting on it. I don't know, because Coyle basically fired Lindsay out of nowhere, so we don't know what he's thinking. Because he is the most boring human being on the planet. So that's part of the. He's very good at keeping secrets because nobody wants to talk to him anyway. So. Because he's the most boring guy there's ever been, so that's fine. Back in my radio days, he was. I got him on like.
I remember this.
First day he got the job. Maybe the longest 8 minutes of my life trying to get him to say anything. So then I called Craig Thompson, who was the
Mountain West
commissioner then, who was a friend of mine, and said, "You told me this guy was good. He's the worst I've ever heard." I said, "But I suppose maybe he'll loosen up and be better." And he said, "I wouldn't count on it." He does his work behind the scenes.
Yes, he's got his.
I'm not saying he's completely ineffective, but he is boring. No. So he doesn't sell his program at all. And I think most athletic directors attempt to sell it to some degree, and he doesn't attempt to sell.
No.
So.
No, and I mean he's made some good hires, obviously, but it's I don't know what they're going to do at that spot. I go back and forth on it because I don't even. The problem is usually you can just evaluate a coach on what they've done, right? Like you look at them on the court and you're like, do they do the right thing? Do they make the right adjustments? Do they motivate? Do they recruit? This era has just flipped that on its head. Like I don't even know. Like I don't even know how you can evaluate him if their NIL is so much less than everybody else, and you just can't get the same players. It's like trying to evaluate a baseball manager who's got a payroll 1/4 of the rest of the teams.
Yes, that's true. That's because you think about it, is where he started point. The starting point was 0. They were taking guys from Montreal and Monmouth and the third degree programs, and they start off 4-14 in the Big Ten, and then by the third year you made progress, you got some players, and they all leave.
Yeah, so, and they all left for more money.
And people want to blame him that they all left, but they left. I don't think Farrell Payne left because of Ben Johnson. He left for money.
No, he left for money. Same with Hawkins. Same with all these guys. And it's just that's the thing I don't know. Like how do you evaluate that? How do you figure that out? I don't know. At a certain point, do you just need to? The thing that last year and especially this year has proven is that he can coach a little bit. Like he can get 7 Big Ten wins out of this collection. Like he can probably coach a little bit, but where does that leave you in the program building?
When they started 0-6, I was saying 2-18.
I was saying 0-20. Yeah, I didn't know if they'd win a game.
No, and then they won somehow. We'll get in if they beat Wisconsin. I think we got a court storming, don't you?
Oh yeah,
Not rated, but we'll get a court storming. Yeah, we'll get a court storming. So
yeah. Hey, before we get out of here, you got any Twins thoughts? This feels like it's been a quiet spring. It's not a whole lot to sort out, is there?
It really has, and it's kind of become the new spring training. Is it? You don't compete for jobs really. I mean, there's a couple of pitching jobs up for grabs, and we don't know. I think it looks like Eddie Julian might be out of luck, don't you? That he's going to probably go to the Niners, and but I don't know what the heck's going on. As far as what they're thinking, they're going to start off with Waller and Larnach in the corners, but they're going to have this Bader who plays, and Buxton's going to try to. So if Buxton's going to do what he's doing now and looks like he's trying to be healthy, are you going to play him 5 out of 6 games, or is it going to be play 2, take 1 off, or are you just going to play him and hope
Here's the
that
thing.
he can play?
He can get hurt at any time with whatever rest. So you might as well just play him, right? Like just get him out there and play him.
Give him a game off on Sunday. Give him Sunday off or something. But I mean, not this whole idea that somehow you're going to rest him so he won't get hurt. How's that work so far?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. They seem like they like Ty France quite a bit, so he might be your first baseman, but that's probably the least settled thing, right? And they seem determined to play Castro mostly at second this year. Is that?
I guess. I don't know where he's going to play around. They're going to say he's going to place him first, and I don't know. Look out for Mickey Gaspar. He might end up making the team. He's somewhere. I don't. It's in flux, but the pitching should be pretty good. Although my guy Festa got the hell knocked out of him the other day. I don't know if he was working on something else. But and Chris Paddock's been bad. But you know what Chris Paddock says? Chris Paddock will be okay. Chris Paddock says he's one of my third person. I love those third person guys. He's a third guy, but. Yeah, I would. They would love to have somebody take him off their hands, but why would he? Why would he? And I think they'd still love to get Vasquez taken off their hands, but nobody. If you're going to get rid of him, A, somebody's got to get hurt, and B, you got to pay half when you get rid of him. So, right?
Yeah.
So.
What's the point at that point? Do you realize this is year 4 of Chris Paddock? That they traded for him right before the 2022 season. He's pitched like 24 games for them, maybe. Like it's just, they knew he was.
Wasn't he already hurt?
Yes,
in the game, like
he was
$2 million, and then
they knew that. Yeah, they were kind of counting on him, kind of the banking on having him for the rest of those other years. So
they gave up Taylor Rogers for him, right?
Yes,
and Rooker, by the way,
Rooker,
who's only hit 35 home runs last year. Or something.
Although not with the Padres, not with the team they traded him to, he had to make another stop before he did that, right? But
anyway, they could use a right-handed hitting power corner outfielder to go with Larnach and Walner.
Yes, but Brent Rooker would look pretty good in this in the Twins uniform right now. But yeah, I think they're like the Loons, Patrick. They're going to be based on keeping the runs off the board instead of putting them on the board. They're going to maybe they're going to be another 1-0 team like the Wild and our Loons.
That's only over in St. Paul where you never get to see a goal. You never get to see a goal either. One goal is enough over in St. Paul here. Yeah, I don't know. I hope I get more excited when the season's ready to start. Usually baseball gets me fired up. One interesting thing is they're opening in St. Louis, and St. Louis fans are irate with the Cardinals. They're threatening boycott. They're upset at the owner. Last year, when they started talking to boycott, the owner came out and ripped them.
What did we do? I haven't heard this story. They're not spending enough?
Any money. They're trying to. They got rid of Goldschmidt. They're trying to get rid of Arenado. They got a big red ribbon tied around Arenado, and nobody will take them off their hands. And their Cardinal fans are all upset. The most loyal fan base in all of baseball.
Greatest fans in baseball. They call themselves that.
until August of this year. So they've been in that new ballpark, for 15 years, maybe?
Yeah, at least.
And they had never announced a crowd under 30,000 until August.
Okay.
And they're all upset down there. And as a youth from Fulda, Minnesota, who used to always listen to KMO before we had a baseball team here.
Oh, sure.
I used to always listen to the night games on KMOX on the little clock radio that was in my bedroom, and I had Harry Carey and Joe Garagiola with Joe Jack Buck as the backup, and I became a big Cardinals fan, and so Cardinals have always been sort of my National League team. So and then I've been there for a couple of World Series, and I was there for. Wicker and I went to Stan Musial's restaurant. This is a long time ago. 82, before Game 1 of the World Series.
It's the Brewers, right?
We went to Stan and Biggie's, and Stan was in there full of whiskey, and Al Hurt was in there full of whiskey, and Al Hurt got up, and he played, and Stan played the harmonica with him. And Wicker and I were in there with all these old Cardinal fans who were weeping because they were going to go in the World Series, and Stan was in there, and Stan was bleak-faced, and Al was, I think, okay. Stan was hammered. He got up and made a speech, but he lost his track of what he was saying about halfway through it, but that was... And if I wasn't a Cardinal fan before then, I was after that. And then Whitey was one of my favorite human beings that ever.
Oh, Whitey Herzog, yeah.
Whitey Herzog. So I've always been a big Cardinals. Well, not big, but if I had a National League team, I always rooted for the Cardinals. And to see this happening, I'm not happy about it. So
is this TV stuff with them? TV money that's hitting them, or why are they cutting all the payroll?
I don't know what the deal is.
Everybody's doing it.
They've never had like the one owner. It's been a consortium, and I don't know what they're doing. I think they thought they got old and they're trying to rebuild it. And, that's what they're saying. Their farm system hasn't been as good, and they're trying to pump the money into the farm system or something. I don't know, but they got them mad. So
yeah, well, we'll see. Baseball's in a little bit of a precarious spot right now with the fractured relationship with ESPN, where they're going to go. They're losing that TV deal at the end of this year, and then the collective bargaining is up after 2026.
No, they can get it out after this year. I think they got it out after this year.
After this year, I thought it was after 2026, but you could be right.
I think they can tell them that they want an out.
Okay.
I think.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
And they got to do something. There's no doubt about it. My idea is aprons. You're never going to get the hard cap, but at some point, the Dodgers. First of all, every dollar that they put in a contract's got to count in the salary cap. You can't.
Yes.
You can't say, Tani's making $2 million. And,
terrible. He's really making 70.
Cap, and it's not salary cap, but whatever it is, the arithmetic for what you got to pay the other teams. They got to get rid of that. Manfred's a joke as far as I'm concerned. He doesn't know what he wants the golden at bat instead of telling the Dodgers, no, you can't do this. It counts. And take us to court. He's afraid of the Dodgers. So anyway, they're in trouble, and I see an NHL type shutdown, and the next time they can, and they're going to make the players take some kind of a salary restraint. So
I think they're going to have to, and it looks like it is after the 2026 season that this expires.
Really?
So
they can't get it out. I thought they could. I thought they could get it out. So two more seasons.
Two more seasons, and then something's going to happen because it can't go on like this. You can't have this, this disparity, and with get the TV stuff figured out, get everybody on a little bit more equal footing. It probably, I don't know, it would hurt the game, but it'd probably help them in the long run if they did that. So we'll see.
Yes, sir. So
all right.
Anyway, and Let's start pressing the action against Looney Tunes. Come on, I'm very upset. I'm very, I'm being the soccer expert I am. The slowdown game bothers me immensely. So.
Yeah. Sam Darnold, are they going to tag? The tag deadline is tomorrow. I don't think they're going to do it.
They're going to let him go.
I think they're going to let him go. I think they are too.
And the high school hockey tournament starts this week. And
yes, that's a good.
We got some new customers in there. So
yes, it's a good time to plug. Well, I think I'll have Dave LeVake on tomorrow's show to talk high school hockey and some of the other stuff that he's been writing about. So it's good timing.
I was very upset that Rock Ridge got beat in the finals of the region, though, because we could have went over there and done a lot of Blazing Saddles jokes about Rock Ridge, but at least the ones that were terribly racist.
Rock Ridge is the new kind of consortium up in.
That's Virginia and Evelyn.
Yep.
Virginia and Evelyn. So, which is really odd that those two arch rivals ended up together. So.
But that is the time.
All righty.
All right. Thank you, sir. See ya. Bye-bye.
Sorry for being grumpy.